the Associate Professor in the Department of Pharmacology, Midnapore Medical College and Hospital. He is serving as guest lecturer of Jadavpur University, Alia University, Naipar, Kolkata. He is the chairman and member of ethics committee in different institutes. He coordinates AMC, Midnapore Medical College. He is an expert in CDSCO. He has good number of publications in many national and international journals. So we are going to hear from Dr. Balaram Ghosh, who is also the organizing secretary of this workshop.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a very tough situation after lunch session, but still I'm trying. So now we are actually very much concerned about the clinical trial. So the clinical trial in relation to the new drug or the investigation of a new drug means any systematic study for such new drug or investigation of a new drug in human subject to generate data for discovery and verifying it. It may be clinically, it may be pharmacologically, particularly in case of B and B study, that is the pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic study, and also for its adverse effect, that is the safety. So the objective to determine safety, efficacy and tolerance, such a new drug or investigational new drug. So the sponsor, who is sponsored? Sponsor can be an individual, it may be a company, it may be institutions like our academic trial, it may be the organization, it may be private, maybe government, which takes the responsibility for the initiations, management, and or financing of the clinical trial. So the sponsors should implement a system to manage the quality throughout the stages of the trial process from the beginning. So it's entered, if it's a new drug, in that case it enters from the trial phase 0 till the phase 4. If it is a used drug, that is for new indications, in another case that is again start from a little bit higher, that is phase 2 pilot study or any B study, and then it enter into the phase 3 study. So the sponsor should focus the trial activities essential to ensuring the human subject protection in one hand, and side by side the reliability of the trial result. Because it is a phase 3 trials, in that case, it is the most last stage for the marketing the drug. If there is any dispute in the trial result, the drug will be vanished. We know that so many drugs that came into the market, but it has been vanished from the market. Like Robidoxib, it's a huge sale after the drug was came into the market, but then banned it. So if there was so much protection in every state, the results should not be come, because there are some point which was omitted by our clinical trial experts. Maybe some fault in the audit team, there may be some in the monitoring team. They're not inquired in every step. That's why the drug was banned after coming to the market after phase 3 time. So we have to find out the quality management to design a efficient clinical trial protocol, which is mandatory. It is a guideline. It is a roadmap. That is the protocols and the tools and procedures of the data collection and processing, as well as the collection of the information. So the sponsor should ensure that all aspects of the trials are operationally feasible and should avoid the unnecessary complexity procedures and data collections. So now this picture is very uncommon because now the football is going on. But still, if we see a cricket match, this group is a research team. So these are our institution ethics committee. And sponsors who are bid for the player. And the regulator is somewhere else, like the CDSCO, like the cricket board. So this is the main role of the sponsor. So the main background of the each and every trial is the sponsor. So the key players of a clinical trial are so many. The patient first, ethics committee, sponsored, regulatory authorities, investigator, CRA. But the key role is the sponsor. So there are so many steps, so many responsibility and role. If we categorize one by one, first one is the critical process and the data identifications. Due to the protocol development, the first step, that is the roadmap, the sponsor should identify the process and the data for the critical and ensure the human subject protections and reliability of the trial result. The first step. But first step always is the risk-based approach. Because you have to identify the risks. If it is a anti-diabetic drug, there is a chance of hypoglycemia. Because you are give a gap of windows period. Because the patient is, if an existing drug, you have to give a window period gap. That may be danger for any hypertensive drug trial, because the patient was in a hypertensive drug, you trial in a new drug. In that case, you have to stop the existing drug for a few days. But there is a chances of CVA. On the other hand, in anti-diabetic drug, there is a chances of hypoglycemia. If you are dealing with AIDS patient, repeatedly you are now including, there is chances of needle free during collection of the blood for the testing some viral load or like that. So the first identification, risk identification is a major issue. What the issue is the risk evaluations. What the error may become, to estimate the error, and what the error will come and how to impact the study if this error occur, and how much error will take or reduce or decrease or to eliminate the result. So that is the risk control. Then the risk communications. What are the main risks that should be communicated to the all step of the existing team? And the risk review that should be reviewed and reported. So from the predefined quality tolerance limits and remedial action taken in the clinical study report is the main point in a critical process and data identification. The next work for our sponsor is the quality assurance and quality control. The sponsor is responsible for implementing and maintaining the quality assurance and quality control systems. So written the SOPs in every step. If an instrument is using, like the BP instrument, that should be also have some SOP. In which condition the patient will measure the blood pressure, what time, what will be the rest, what will be the dress, and not even what will be the instrument, you will measure the BP. Every step there should be a SOPs. Data are generated, documented, recorded, reported, and the compliance of the protocol. Every step should be compiled with protocol, GCP, and the regulatory requirements. Regularity from our institutions, regularity from our head office, like the DCGI. So every step you should be take care. That should be taken care by the sponsor. So the quality control should be applied to each stage of the data handling to ensure that all data are reliable and have been processed correctly. So sponsors are responsible for securing the agreement with all involved parties. Whatever the parties are involved, it may be the investigator, it may be your CRO, it may be the SMO. Every step there should be some written agreement. But the responsibility will be always towards the sponsor. So why the quality control and quality assurance? The purpose of the quality assurance is not to assure that the data is 100% error-free. It's not possible. We're a human body. It's a biological body. But the purpose to ensure the clinical trial results are reliable, reproducible, observed clinical treatment effect are real, and the estimate the magnitude is unbiased. So the quality control tries to find out the defect. Side by side, quality assurance tries to prevent the defect. Quality control will help to identify the abnormalities, inconsistencies, verification process. It is responsibility to the scientists. They are doing. So we will not perform the quality assurance activity. But on the other hand, quality assurance will always perform the quality control. And it will help to prevent the abnormalities and inconsistency and preventive process. And this will the responsible management. Third one is a contract research organization. As Professor Hazar told, that any sponsor can recruit the CRO. Because it is not possible to do every work by a sponsor. So he contracted some research organizations. So the sponsor will transfer all the sponsored trial related duties and functions to the CRO. But the ultimate responsibility towards on the sponsor to maintain the quality and the integrity of the trial data always resides within the sponsor. CRO should implement the quality control and quality assurance, but should be checked by the sponsor. Any trial related duty and function that transferred to any will be assumed by the CRO should be specified in the writing only. So the sponsor or CRO, the services will be feasibility of the study. If we want doing any study in our Midnapore Medical College, during my transfer, I was doing one clinical trial at Kolkata Medical College, Kolkata. So the trial was from the Sibla. I was the co-PI, HOD of the chest department was the PI. So everything was dry. We have done the feasibility study. The sponsor came to our medical college. They saw the outdoor patient and everything was good. They do the site inspections, but immediately there was a transfer from from Kolkata to Midnapore Medical College. So I told them, please transfer the study to Midnapore Medical College. Then no, we will not transfer because the feasibility is not possible. So we arrange that again, but their feasibility is not good because their monitor will come in the flight and they will again come by own vehicle towards Midnapore. Is not possible. So from the Sibla end, they denied to do the study to transfer to our Midnapore Medical College. So I failed from the feasibility studies. So feasibility is the first step. After the feasibility, there will be site inspections. Then, according to the informed consent designing, and it will to be checked by the every step. Then the CRF, recruitment strategies, IRB submissions, document translations, contract and the budget negotiations, the patient recruitment, detention, every step CRO sponsored was done side by side. Then another term came SMO. There is a site management organization. Any CRO can contract with some site management organization. Like one Sibla will be do the one study. He contact one CRO at Kolkata. Then Kolkata ready to do the CRO, but as per protocol, as per rule by the DCGI, there should be 4 centers in the 4 corners of the India. One from the Calcutta and around, one will be Delhi and around, one will be at Chennai around, and one will be Mumbai and around. So there are 4 area, the 4 sites. And there should be 50% of the institutions will be government and 50% institutions will be public. So one organization of the CRO, one CRO from Kolkata would not possible to do in the fourth study throughout the India. So he hired some SMO. So SMO do the study in other sites. So they are the site management site organization. So they will do the same work, but whatever may be, every contract will be written and every responsibility will be on the back of sponsor. Medical expertise. There is so many medical expertise is needed. That should be appointed by the CR, the sponsor. And when the power is transferred to the CRO, in that case, CRO will be contact with our medical expertise. But the responsibility towards sponsor. Sponsor will be appointed as a medical expert in every step, as a PI, as a co-PI. In some time, the PI will guide it to whom will be the co-PI. Who will be our coordinator of the investigator if it's a multi-centric trial. So every step will be done by our sponsor. Trial design. Sponsors should utilize the qualified individual, the biostatistician, that is our outsourcing, the clinical pharmacologist, the physician, to design the trial design. What will be the design of the study? Which will be the appropriate? And throughout all stages of the clinical process, designing the protocol, CRF planning, analyzing, preparing the interim analysis or the final clinical report, every step he should hire some qualified person for the trial management, from the data handling, from the record keeping. So in clinical trial, there may be so many types. It may be experimental, may be observational, it may be analytical or descriptive. In case of experimental, there should be randomized clinical trial. And analytical, there will be cohort, case control, cross-sectional, case series, and case reports. According to the color, you can sense what is the strength, what is credentials. These are the again study. The study will be double blind or single blind. What part, what drug will be given? It's every road map should be checked. So again, another clinical trial design. There should be double blind or open level. Everything should be designed accordingly. Next is supervise the clinical trial. The sponsor should be utilize the appropriately qualified individual and supervise the overall conduct the clinical trial. So it is not possible by the sponsor. So that's why sponsor hired the independent data monitoring committee to assess the progress of the clinical trial. This independent data monitoring committee will quarterly or every month, whatever may be possible, they will check the data, the credential of the data, the reliability of the data, and then they will analyze it. There are so many trials prematurely closed because there may be good results is coming. So if the result is good, why we should continue for further? We can close our clinical trial prematurely by the guidance of the independent data monitoring committee. On the other hand, there are so many side effects occurring, so many deaths is going on, so many patients are admitting after taking the drug. So in that case, we can prematurely close the data, the trial by the guidance of the independent data monitoring committee. On the other hand, there may be no use. We are using one comparator. The result is good from the comparator side. On our investigational drug, there is no response. The patient is suffering much more than he was without drug. We can close that trial. So whatever may be our interim or result, that will be guided by the independent data monitoring committee. We can use the electronic trial data handling nowadays because the trial is going on throughout the world. So the coordinating center is at Switzerland. So in India, there are the 4 centers. So it is not possible to come to us from Switzerland to USA. So everything is going on the internet. So the electronic data handling is now going on. But you should ensure that the data document electronic data processing systems compares the completeness, accuracy, reliability, and consistent independent performance. Every instrument you are using from the computer up to the investigational procedures, everything should be validated. Everything should be maintenance. There should be some security. So everything should be checked by the sponsor. Should be secure. Because there should be antivirus in case of the computer is using. There should be no pen drive should be entered in the chances of virus. So everything should be kept in mind. And every step should be one SOPs for the maintenance of each system. If the computer is using, that should be regularly maintained. So the all setups, installations used, everything should be done. There should be one data was entered and immediately you deleted it. So that will be occurred. So it's deleted. It's not possible because you have to use the audit trail, the data trail, or the edit trail. That will, any deletion or any modification will be done immediately. The someone from sitting in the Switzerland, he can check. There was one data was deleted, trying to delete. So immediately you will go not do that because I am seeing you. You are changing the result. So this is the using nowadays, particularly in case of electronic data trialing. But that should be maintained by the sponsor. So the security system will be prevents unauthorized access. There may be hackers. The drug may be so many important, so there may be some chances of hacking. Maintains the list of the individual unauthorized data making changes. There should be blinding. Nowadays, what you have to send the all eligibility criteria for the patient. That is called inclusive criteria, and then from their end, there will because box is a number only. Within the box there is a drug. It may be comparator, it may be placebo. But after taking one single tablet, patient was suffering from severe distress, respiratory distress. So you don't know what he has taken. He taken the existing drug, that is a comparator, or he taking the newly drug. So there should be some safeguard blinding. Immediately you can recognize what the drug was. It is a investigational drug or it is a existing drug or not. So that should be maintaining and ensure the integrity of the data, including any data describe the concept, content, and the structure. Next point is investigator selection. It also done by our sponsor. So Professor Haja was told so many things about the investigator selections, but there should be some agreement with the investigator and also from the institutions that the trial will be conducted under the compliance to GCP and the applicable regulatory requirements. That is locally our ethics committee and in our national level there is a DCGI. They will always, you have to follow the rule. If you are doing one BAB study and you are taking so many times of blood and you are doing one drug with some fixed drug combination drug. So two drug is there are two peak level of the blood will come, and in that case you have to take so many blood for taking the peak of the drug was come. So you are taking more than 250 ml per study. Immediately the ethics committee will say, no, it's not possible. The DCGI will say, no, it's not possible. You have to take less than 300 blood per study. Because in a day, to see the peak of the level, you have to take 10 or 12 times blood, 5 ml. So what they will do, they will take 3 ml blood per sequence to reduce the load of the blood taking. So whatever requirement they will say, you have to follow. So to comply the procedure and data recording and reporting, to permit the monitoring and auditing and inspection every time, to retain the trial data essential document and sponsors information for the institutions, those documents are no longer needed. So the sponsor and the investigator of the institution will sign the protocol or an alternative document to confirm this agreement. So when you are doing one contract with the sponsor, the investigator, the PI, then they will send you your protocol. What protocol? The draft will be studied to the institutions. And after that, he will go through, it take few times, and then he will say that the clinical trial will be feasible in your institution or not. Then the company will come for the feasibility and also your site inspections. So what are the selection process to identify the potential investigator? Professor Haida was told very nicely from the marketing department by the literature review, because the particular investigator has so many publications. So that's why it's a new drug. There are so many publications in rheumatoid arthritis. So immediately they will think, as because he was expert in rheumatoid arthritis, so he will be the potential investigator. The medical society directories, the reference from the investigator. One investigator will reference. You do the study with Dr. Pillai from Chennai. He is my friend. We are doing in the same line. So immediately they will choose from the Chennai side Dr. Pillai, like this. Or the CTRI. CTRI also guided to choose some investigator, because you have to give the details in the CTRI entry. Allocation of the responsibility. All the responsibility from sponsor. This is not good. So sponsor will allocate the all responsibility accordingly to other staffs or other categories. So to define every step, there should be again SOP in every step and allocate all clinical related duties and functions. Compensation. Compensation is very much necessary, because all the patient will be included in the study, will be insured and indemnify that there is a local and financial coverage of the investigator or the institution against claims arising from the trial, except the claims that arise from malpractice and negligence. If any negligence or malpractice done by the PI, that is not responsible for the sponsor. That is solely goes towards the PI. Other than everything will be responsible by the sponsor. Financing, every step, all financing part will be done by the sponsor. Whatever may be, a little bit expenditure will be done by our sponsor. Notification and submission to regular authorities. When the one company will come to our institutions, after taking everything agreement with our PI, they immediately want the SOPs of our regulatory authorities. Because in the SOPs, there's a written how much pay he has to do for the permission of any trial, or what will be the bindings, what will be the agreement. Is a bipartite agreement or tripartite agreement? Everything should be written in our SOPs. So by SOPs from our ethics committee of the Midnapore Medical College, they will notify and submission in everything. If you are doing a multi-centric trial, every institution they should take the permission from the ethics committee. So before initiating the study, clinical trial sponsor should require the applicable to submit the required applications to the appropriate authorities for review, acceptance and permissions to begin the trial. Unless there is a green signal from the our ethics committee, he will not start the trial. Confirmation of the review on IRBC. So immediately the sponsor will obtain the details, name and address and the registration, everything from our institutions, what are the SOPs and the document in favorable opinions. And if there is any modification of the protocol will be done, the version number and also amendment, everything should be given to our review committee. Information about the investigation product, everything from the preclinical study till the study was done, if the drug is using other than India, every details, it is called the investigation dossier. There's a huge big book like Mahabharata that should be given to the handover to the investigator, and also if want our ethics committee, because if there is any catastrophe, they immediately they can go through if that type of incidents was occurred previously or not, they can check it out. Whatever the result in the previous trial, it may be phase 3, it may be phase 2, how safety the drug is, everything, every details will be written. What will be the route? What will be the immediate effect? In how many patients there will be some adverse effect was done. So everything will be written in the investigation procedure. That should be handed over to the PI or the institutions. Manufacturing, package, labeling and coding investigational product. Drugs should be manufactured by the sponsor. Because this drug was not in the market. It is still, if it is not, in a below phase 3 level, the drug is within the sponsored only. So the manufacturer, its marking, everything will be done as per GMP. That is a good manufacturing practice. So the sponsor should determine the investigational product storage. The product should be storage, what will be the temperature, if there is effect in the light, what will be the packaging, everything will be checked. Before sending the drug, there is a site inspection was done by the sponsor, where the drug will be kept. If there is an almirah or not. If the PI said, okay, I will buy it, you just send the drug, they will not say. They check it out, there should be locked, and then they will go. Then after that, they will dispense the drug. Everything will be checked. There should be coding systems. If it is a blinded drug, the coding can be decoded. So that system should be done by the sponsor. The sponsor should also inform everything to the monitor, that is the medical monitor, the investigator, the pharmacist, and the storage manager. So every step they should be informed everywhere. Supplying the handling of the investigational product. So ensure the timely delivery of the investigational product and the investigator. What time? When the ethics committee gives the permission. When PI is ready for the patient. If you are doing a study with influenza, but the time is very common for the influenza fever. So there is not time for the drug only. There is a seasonal variations. So that should be kept in mind. So that time the drug will be sent by the sponsor to the investigator. And it will be kept accordingly to drug, shipment, the received depositions, the return of the drug, any destruction, any loss, but everything should be documented. And there should be some date of expiry, everything should be maintaining. So maintain the system and the deposition of the unused investigational drug. There are a few drugs was left. Your study was prematurely terminated. So, but the drug which are unused, you have to send to the sponsor, and then in intact formations. And after if it is a strip drug, after taking the patient, the strip also should be returned to the PI, and that should be handed over to the sponsor again. So take step to ensure that the investigational product are stable over the period of the use. That is our date of expiry. Record access. Record means not only the record of particularly of the clinical trial, record of everything to specify the protocol, the written agreement with the institutions of the investigator, the direct access to the source data. Thus, Professor either told the document, trial-related monitoring, the auditing, IRB and IC review, the regulatory inspections, it access as required. Everything you have to send to our DCGI during your study report sending. Safety information. If the drug is safe, the ongoing safety evaluation should be done. The sponsors will be promptly notified if there is any irregularity or anything about the safety of the investigational product or safety to the patient. Every step should be safe. Adverse drug reporting, drug reaction reporting. Any drug reaction was occurred, immediately you have to inform. It may be unexpected, it may be very much common, but should know. If it is adverse, severe adverse effect, in that case you have to inform. If any death occurred, if any hospitalized the patient, in that case you have to inform within 14 days to the DCGI. Immediately you have to inform to the ethics committee. Every step should be done by the sponsor. Monitoring. Monitoring should be done every step, because in always you have to keep the human, the rights and the well-being of the human subject. It should be always protected. But side by side, we have to maintaining the report of the data, trial data should be accurate, should be complete, and should be verified from our source document. So the conduct of the clinical trial is the compliance of the currently approved protocols and amendment, if any done. Because initially you have done the measurement of the blood pressure in sitting position, but from some change was done that the blood pressure will be measured in sleeping in the lying position and also in the sitting position, in both the conditions. So again amendment was come. So every step is an amendment, and that's everything should be monitored as per GCP, as per our applicable regulatory requirements. So the monitor should be selected. The monitor is called the medical monitor. So monitor will be appointed by the sponsor. Monitor responsibility, he should know every step, how the trial is going on. He is a very familiar with the trial. Usually the clinical pharmacologists are the medical monitors. So they are doing every step. How the drug is using, how many times you are reporting by our PI, what is the information consent procedure is going on. If there is any fallacy or any step is omitting, everything should be step. Even the taking the blood, in which condition, how you are screening the patient, how you are recruiting the patient. So everything should be monitored usually. So the monitor should be done in two types. One from the centralized position, that he was waiting somewhere else, and from centralized he is monitoring the. On the other hand, there is an on-site monitor. So on-site monitor is usually done three times. One at the initiation of the study, one in between, and at the end of the study. But it may be require more monitors, because you are seeing the one center is recruiting the patient in every week 2 or 3. In the other center, recruiting patient once in a month. And usually the disease is very rare. So usually the patient is come once in a month. But particularly for one center, is every week 2 or 3 patients is recruiting. So you should think in mind that other 9 centers are recruiting 1 patient or 2 patients in a month. Particularly one center is recruiting 2 or 3 patients in a week. That means the disease is very much rampant there or very much common there. or there is any fallacy. So immediately there is emergency, he should come for the on-site monitoring. And he will give the reports for what are the he saw, what are the fallacy, how the drug is or preserved or not, every pill was counting or not. So everything will be done by the monitors. So he will review the statistical analysis and also accumulating data and centralized monitoring. Usually use the following points. I will skip the slides. Audit. Usually we know audit means the related to the money, but here audit not related to money. Money is definitely, but auditing every step, because we have to monitoring the quality control function to evaluate and the conduct and the compliance of with the protocol or not. That should be audit. The trial is a compliance with the protocol, compliance with the SOPs, or compliance with our regulatory requirements. This should be auditing. The auditing team will be requirement for outsourcing. It is the knowledgeable person. It's a firm or it's maybe some institutions like CRO. So they will audit in a frequent interval or from some electronic like from their centralized unit. So they will auditing everything. And auditing documents is very much important, particularly if there is any case, any death. Because that will be so, that's we are auditing every time, but there was no fallacy. But this incident, this death was due to some accident or maybe some other cause. So this will guard by the regular auditing, and that is done by our sponsor. Non-compliance. Non-compliance is very much disturbing when some monitor is come and give a report that this center is non-compliance with SOPs, non-compliance with GCPs, non-compliance with our regulatory requirements. So always we have to keep in mind that every step should be very much secure. One side for the human protection, other side is the reliability of the data. This should be always strict with the principle of our protocol, with the guidance of our SOPs and other regulatory requirements. Premature termination or suspension of a trial. So this, but it can be occur anytime by our data monitoring unit can say prematurely termination. So many, it may be some good reason, must some bad reason, but this should be done by the sponsor only, because you have to face the ethics committee, you have to face the DCGI, why you prematurely termination your trial, because every 3 months you have to give the report, and every 6 months in our app like Sugam. In the app Sugam, you have to upload the data in every 6 months, and quarterly you have to give the report. So this is very much important. So if any premature trial, you have to give the analysis. That is the reason why every time you have to send the reports to our higher authority. Study report. At the end of the study, you have to make your complete report. If it is prematurely terminated, then you have to give your reports to our regulatory authorities, to our as per guidelines by ICH guidelines, as said by our Professor Hajar. Multi-centric trial is very much common nowadays because so many centers are using, so many CRF is using. CRF also hiring the SMO. So this is going on like that. There are 11 centers in one trial throughout the India. This is the common features for one drug is coming. Much more center, the credential will be much more, the result will be much better. That's why so many trials, the patient also be less, but the credential of the result will be very good. So the sponsor is the sole responsible to recruit the clinical investigator, clinical pharmacologist. Institution selection also done by the sponsor. Independent data monitoring committee to be checked by the sponsor. statisticians should be selected by the sponsor, CRO will be hired by the sponsor, auditor should be recruited by the sponsor, medical monitor who is independent. Medical monitor is always independent, but should be paid by the sponsor. He is independent because he is a higher authority. Auditor also has to be independent because he can give the rights to unfavor to the sponsor also. Because though he is taking the money from the sponsor, but he is the authority to prematurely close any trial. So many stakeholders, but sponsor is a good role in every step. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Balaram Ghosh. Any questions from the audience? Okay.
Can sponsor be like principal investigator here?
Never. No. Sponsor is the company. It's a pharmaceutical company.
And it may be an individual or organization.
Yeah. The sponsor may be the investigator in particularly our academic institutions. Academic trial sponsor is our investigator. Only one case. And other thing was done because if you are doing one meditational trial, it's no expenditure is there. So if you are doing the nothing you are spending, like that you are the sponsor and you are a yoga teacher. You are doing some experiment like by the yoga, the blood pressure will be decreased. So in this trial, you are the sponsor and you are the investigator. Yes, sir.